Oi, oi, what's going on, party people? So, we're back with another YouTube video, and what I want to do today is basically talk you through a meeting that I had with a now mentor. But it was basically a free session that this guy, his name's Matt, he's in the events industry. So, they basically give out kind of like free 60-minute meetings and a walk around of the facility. So, I booked myself onto one of those. We sat down, we ended up having about a 90-minute chat, which was really nice. And we've since kind of signed a deal to do additional mentorship as well. But for me, it was a really interesting and useful conversation, and I want to kind of just break down some of the main points that came out of that conversation between Matt and I, some of the things that I personally know that I need to work on, and why I've decided to then go on to do a 6-month mentorship with Matt. So we're going to dive into kind of the main points, and I'm going to talk you through everything here. Okay, so within this, there are some fairly surface level things. I think, let's say, like low hanging fruit, things that we can kind of tick off or think about straight away. And then there are some really meaty topics that I'll save for the end of the video, but I think that's ultimately where we're going to find the most leverage. The first thing is that as a video production company, our niche, our market, our industry, whatever you want to call it, specialism, right? Whatever you want to kind of refer to that, our thing is events. So Matt works in the events industry as well, and he was basically saying, like, is there a way that we can niche down even further? So we do conferences, trade shows, masterminds, award ceremonies, expos, the whole gamut of events, basically. And what Matt was saying is that in our marketing, in some of our marketing material, like VSLs or maybe LinkedIn content and stuff like that, like in some of that sort of stuff, the message gets a bit muddy because ultimately, like, what a conference wants versus what a award ceremony want are somewhat different, right? And each event is different, and it will have kind of different objectives, different results that it wants from the marketing. I did have a bit of resistance to this in terms of like if we're going for just conferences or just awards, because for me, the total addressable market in the UK feels quite low. It feels like a small total addressable market anyway, because we're only really like, I think it's 60 million, 60, 70 million in the UK. If we were in a country like America, that might be different, but then you've got kind of travel logistics and complications that come along with it. Let's say that we were going to do just conferences. I'd feel better about it kind of in an American or US market just because it's so vast. It's like 300 million in America. But that was the first point of consideration. Is it worth us at this stage niching down even further to be more specific with our marketing, more specific with our messaging, and ultimately go after a very, very specific avatar? That's just something that I'm considering right here. The second thing that I really took from the conversation is this idea of like clarity, right? The clarity of thinking, ultimately, and I think more importantly, the clarity of vision. I'm struggling when I really articulated this back and forth with Matt, and this was probably about half an hour of the conversation of him basically just being like, what do you actually want, right? I've had it in my head for so long, like I've got a direction, and I've been feeding off of this direction for a lot of years. Really, kind of since I was 15, 16, I've kind of known what I've wanted to do. The vehicle has changed, but the actual direction is still the same. And what I really need to think about more and spend more time thinking about as the founder who is at the point where we're starting to really, I can feel it growing. I can feel the boosters kind of, turning, and we're doing all the right things. And I think that time and that compound of consistency is beginning to pay off now, as you can hopefully see from kind of the content and the projects that we're tendering for and the work that we're actually winning now. Big tangent. But anyway, I need to have a crystal clear vision in my mind for what the company is, where we want to go, how many people we need, the exact finances that are going to be required to run it, the average order value of the clients, how many clients we need, how many appointments we need to book. Like the whole thing, like it needs to be so clear, so structured in my mind that it's very easy to understand then the next step that you need to go out and do in order to do it right. So you clearly define where you want to go, and then you work backwards from there, because it's very easy to kind of work backwards instead of being in this position wanting to go over there and being like, I have no idea what's the best next step to take, right? You start over there mentally and then you work backwards. But yeah, just really kind of taking the time to clearly think through and be able to articulate what you want, where you're going, why you're going there, why that's important to you. Because like once you reach a certain level of revenue, once you've taken care of those kind of basic needs on the hierarchy, right? Everyone knows Maslow's hierarchy of need. Once you take care of those, the vision is the thing that's going to carry you forward. And ultimately, for me, when I was going back and forth with Matt, I was saying one thing and then thinking another and then saying another thing. Like I was kind of just talking for the sake of talking, because nobody's really ever asked me questions about kind of the vision, where we're going, and what we're doing, and that sort of stuff. So that's another thing that I'm really gonna kind of concentrate on with Matt. Hopefully over the next 3 months, I'm hoping that kind of over this 6 month mentoring thing, and I'll talk about this in a second. But I'm hoping that the first kind of half of that can be strategic in terms of the tactical stuff that we need to do to get to where we want to go, but more importantly, just kind of fleshing out this vision. And he's done it, right? He's someone that's done it. I'm not sure what size their team is, but they're a decent sized business. And he will be able to give me a very solid picture of like what exactly that could look like if we're trying to build something like that. So that's the kind of the second point, is just clarity of vision and clarity of kind of where you're heading. Another quick point that I've highlighted here, I think it ties into that vision thing, and something that Matt said in the meeting is that I'm clearly somebody that wants to be extraordinary, but is the true manifestation of that a 10 to 12 person video production company operating within the UK? Like, is the vision serving exactly what I want? Does that kind of, does that feed into me and my purpose and that sort of stuff as well? And I've kind of taken this and synthesized it down into essentially a question of what is my manifestation of extraordinary, right? If that is you, if you're ambitious, if you are somebody that kind of has it in your bones that you really want to kind of excel in life and be extraordinary, what's the true manifestation of that? And that comes back to the clarity thing that we keep talking about just here. One of the biggest issues that we identified from the conversation, and I spoke about this in a previous video, whether it's been uploaded yet or not, I don't know, but the bottleneck for the business at the moment is that I'm the USP, right? Working with me is the thing that retains the clients and brings them back and makes sure that we have quality work and stuff like that. And the brand isn't yet at the point where it's kind of got its own 2 feet to stand on, because all of the clients come through me. If we're doing DM outbound to new clients, it's my profile. If we're doing paid ads, it's me on the screen. And that's fine, because there has to be a face of the brand and there has to be kind of like a founder. But then through the whole sales process and the whole pre-production process, and then when we're on shoot, right, like it's me all the way through. And the perception of that from our existing clients, but then also new clients that come through, is they want the exact same service. So we found it really hard, especially with events, because the dates are fixed, right? If you're running a normal video production company and you're already booked out for 1 week, you can just say to that new client, like, it's fine, we'll just move you up or down a week if you've got the availability. But with events, that's not the case, right? So you need to double up. And a lot of clients have had resistance to doubling up because they want me. And that, I get it from one side of things, but I'd also love it if they wanted OG Films, right? They wanted the brand, and that's kind of where I really want to push to, is like, how do we have the brand have its own voice and speak for itself, right? And have quality assurance in its work, because that's the point that we need to get to. And then anybody that is part of that brand or wears the t-shirt, links in with those kind of standards and processes and principles, right? That's the point that I'm trying to make here. So probably one of the biggest things that came out of this meeting is just go to therapy, right? As an entrepreneur, it's not normal to kind of want the things that we want, to do the things that we do. Everyone's going to have their own reasons and past and trauma, if you want to call it trauma, in terms of why we are trying to push so hard to do things in the world and become extraordinary. I have my reasons for that. I'm not going to share them in this video, but I think that from what Matt was saying, going to therapy, there's no amount of work, there's no amount of clients, there's no amount of revenue, there's no amount of accolades that are ever going to fix the things that have happened in your past. It's never going to make it better. And almost chasing those is kind of like an empty pursuit, because you think that it's going to make it better, but I think that you know that it's not. So you may as well kind of just go to therapy, get it sorted out, and then you're driving from a much more balanced place. I think that if you continue to let the traumas of the past, again, I'll use it in inverted commas, but if you let the kind of the experiences of your past dictate the behaviors and actions and things that you're pushing to in the future, then I don't think you have a proper handle on it. I'm not sure that I fully get this point just yet, because I haven't been to therapy. It's definitely something that I would look into, although it is a little bit expensive. I'd rather put that money into ads. But anyway, all jokes aside, like, if it came from Matt and it came from somebody that's been there and done it and worked through their own things, then it's probably something that is worth considering. But I thought it was just an important thing to note, is that ultimately, if I'm the person that's driving the business and doing the things day to day that are going to push it forward, then I need to essentially upgrade my software, right? That's it. That's the whole point, you know? So that pretty much wraps it up. Like I said, it was a 90-minute session. Those are kind of the main things that we pulled out of it. I don't know if any of them resonate with you. If they do, let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what you think of the more laid back kind of YouTube style and stuff like that. But with all of this being said, I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.